Hey, it's the Odd Man. I'm here on the beach at Pacific Beach State Park, doing a couple of bike rides on the beach, and then I'm going to go clam digging. It's an open weekend for razor clams this weekend. It's late in January 2023. You've seen this map before. Pacific Beach State Park is about 2 hours from my house. And then once I was there, of course, I did 2 bike rides, one to the north up as far as I could go to Moclips. And then I rode my bike as far south as I could go down to what looks like Iron Springs on this map. I brought my new bike, which is actually my sister's bike, but the trip isn't off to a good start. I've not ridden 100 yards and I've already biffed it once sliding in the sand up there. I've been riding my bike down the beach and it hasn't been awful, but it's been a lot more work than anticipated. This is not just an easy beach cruise. The tide was high about 2 hours ago. The sand is still just kind of soft and a little hard to ride in. So this has turned out to be a lot like exercise. A couple of years ago I came down here and did this same video in the same location. So I'm gonna run out, turn around and come back. The sand here is really soft though. I'm not sure I'm gonna make it, but it'll be fun to try. I did that with my bike, yep. Listen to these sandy brakes. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's about halfway between low tide and high tide, and the high tide is coming in. If I ride my bike for an hour, there should still be plenty of beach left, and my car shouldn't be overrun by the tide, you wouldn't think, would you? I like riding my bike on the beach. It's kind of fun. And this is a pretty nice morning for it. Not raining. That's about as good as it gets at the beach. Not gonna run over that one. Hey, look, I'm back at Pacific Beach State Park. I drove down to the other access because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to cross this river in the bike, but I clearly could have waded it. It doesn't look like there's any place that's that deep. I love these deserted beaches. I saw 2 people earlier on the ride, but there's nobody else around other than the scraper operator. I don't often ride my bike on the beach, and this is why. Man, the sand and the salt. I'll have to really spend some time cleaning up this baby. I always like taking my shovel with me because I can turn it over and thump the ground with the handle. But I've seen a lot of people thumping with their clam guns, and it does seem to work okay. No way to find them when it's like this. Gotta wait for that water to run out. This was not the most fulfilling of clam trips. Seemed like I had a hard time with the clam gun. I thrashed many of the clams, and there were little ones, and when I got all done, I still felt like I would rather be digging more clams. Didn't quite get my fill of that last night, that's for sure. So I dug the limit of clams, which is 15 clams, which is 3 sets of 5, which is about as much as I eat each meal. It's a lot, but I love these babies. So I'm going to cook them in 3 different ways. I'm going to cook them like I usually do. I usually use milk or eggs and panko or flour and just fry them. This recipe in the center, which is a cook it under the broiler recipe, which should be a lot cleaner, and it's from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. And then the third one is a beer batter recipe from Sunset Magazine. So we'll try all 3, see which ones we like. Since it's Wednesday, which is my house cleaning day, and the stove is so clean, I think I'll start with Rich's broiled razor clams. So I have everything set out here for Rich's broiled clams. Got some butter melted and ready to go on them. The clams themselves, egg beaters, and panko. The recipe calls for crushed Ritz crackers, but I thought we'd use panko instead. God. Just dropped the microphone cable into the butter. Says to drizzle it with butter so it doesn't dry out. Okay, let's throw these babies in the oven. Oh, that's looking hot. This is the way I usually cook clams. No recipe needed. I usually just use flour and milk because I always have those in the kitchen. Tonight we're doing the Sunset Magazine beer batter recipe. We've got all the ingredients. We've got olive oil in the frying pan heating up and the clams ready to go. We've got the equivalent of 1 egg from the egg beaters. 1.5 cups flour, zest of the lemon, all the spices, and a bottle of beer, 1 for you, 1 for me. So let's go. Let's throw all this stuff in. pot. Oh, my nice clean stove. That looks hot. The 3 minutes on each side was just about perfect. But the way the panko was on there, it obviously set off the fire alarm and got a little too dark. Really pretty darn good. The fried clams typically come out pretty darn good because I've done them so many times. The beer-battered clams were pretty darn good, but the batter should have been much thinner. It was so thick it was difficult to get them cooked properly. And the breading didn't stick to them quite as well. Some people like to use, or say you should use, one dry hand and one wet hand. I've never found that to be workable. So I always just use one hand to get it all mucky. At the end of the 3 days, I think I like the broiled clams the best. These weren't perfect because of the way the panko burned, but if you used flour with them, I think they'd be great. And they end up being a little healthier because they're lower in fat. And it certainly was easier to keep the kitchen clean. Cheers!
I'm going home. I'm going home. Been a long time now and I'm going home.
This is the Odd Man, out.